everyone, so today I am filming a video that has been very highly requested over the last few months. I've had tons of people asking about this, and it is how to plan and book a Tokyo Disney vacation. Now, I'm not claiming to be any kind of expert. I have only done one trip, but this is just my experience of how I planned it and booked it. We did quite a short trip, but all of the information is the same for whatever length of trip you are doing. So I just wanted to let you know how I went about it, because there's not as much information out there as there is for something like Disney World and Disneyland, so hopefully this will help you. And I do have a little cold, so I'm sorry if I sound a bit weird today, bear with me. So first up is to decide what time of year you want to go. With us, we were going to South Korea for my brother's wedding, and we decided to go back via Tokyo, so we didn't really have any choice of the time of year. We got there, I think, on the 17th of September, so we were there for a few days around then. What I would probably take into consideration, and I didn't research this a whole lot because, like I said, we didn't have a choice of when we were going, would be to look at weather. If you're someone who doesn't like super hot weather or super cold, I'm not quite sure what the climate is like, so just go onto a weather app and definitely check the average temperatures. That could be something. And also just check for what school schedules are like over there. You don't want to end up there at a super busy time, and again, these are things I can't sort of offer too much advice, but that's where I would start when figuring out when you want to go, is just try and find out about those things first of all. And in terms of getting there, we actually booked our flights through British Airways. I think the flight, we obviously flew into South Korea, so the outbound flight, I'm not sure how long that would be. Our flight home from Tokyo was about 12 hours, I believe. British Airways were great. We had a really good flight with them. The time difference is a bit of a killer. That's one thing I would say. It's very confusing when you are arriving and leaving at certain times and you feel like the nighttime has happened when it hasn't. It's very confusing, so just prepare yourself for that, because it is quite a long flight in the opposite direction to what I'm used to. And I booked those flights through Kayak. I always use that site for comparing different airlines, and you can put in whether you want to go direct or whether you want to stop part way. Like I say, British Airways do a non-stop flight, and for that length of flight I probably would be inclined to do direct if you can, just to get the travel out the way. So in terms of planning your actual time at Disney, the next thing you want to think about is where you are going to stay. So they do have some on-site Disney hotels, nowhere near as many as in Orlando, so it's a bit easier to make a decision there. They also have, and I've written down the names because there were several different categories. We have, so the Disney hotels, you have Disney Resort official hotels, so they are on the Disney property, and they're ones that are, you know, officially partnered with Disney. So think like the Swan and Dolphin in Orlando, that type of thing. Then they've got Disney Resort partner hotels, which are a little bit further away, but not miles away still by any means. And then you have Disney Resort Good Neighbor hotels, and those are ones that are just kind of recommended by Disney. Disney are happy to say, you know, these are places that we would suggest if you want to stay off-site. So those are the different categories. Sorry, I'm reading all this because there's quite a lot of information to tell you. So the Disney hotels, they have deluxe or value, they don't have moderate. So in terms of the Disney owned and operated hotels, they have 3 deluxe resorts and 1 value. So the 3 deluxe are Disney Ambassador Hotel, which is kind of a golden age Hollywood themed hotel. Then you've got Tokyo DisneySea Hotel Miracosta, I think is how you say it, and that is actually in the DisneySea park. Incredible. I would love to get the chance to stay there one day, and that's kind of Italian themed. Then you have the Tokyo Disneyland Hotel, which is right opposite the Disneyland park, and it's very fancy. Think Grand Floridian type thing. That's what it reminded me of. And then the Tokyo Disney Celebration Hotel is the value resort that they have, and that is very much themed towards Disney characters. So think Art of Animation type of thing, very sort of fun theming and the kind of thing that kids would absolutely love. So those are the Disney hotels. And in terms of perks that you get, because we all know staying at a Disney hotel, there's normally a couple of little things that are a reason to stay there basically. So you get 15 minutes early entry into the parks, and it's not like Magic Hours out in Orlando where it's certain parks on certain days. I believe that you just get to go in 15 minutes early to whichever park you're going to. And I should have mentioned that first, there are 2 parks at Tokyo Disney Resort. There is Tokyo DisneySea and Tokyo Disneyland. So when I'm talking in a moment about your actual park days, I will go into a bit more detail about the actual parks themselves. And also, if you're staying at either the DisneySea Miracosta Hotel or the Disneyland Hotel, you get a free monorail pass, because the monorail generally is not free at Tokyo Disney. I will come on to that in just a moment. You can also get your purchases sent back to your hotel, much like you can in Disney World. And the hotels that are not directly at a monorail station, you obviously get free transportation by bus to and from the parks. So those are the kind of perks of staying at a Disney hotel, other than the obvious that they are very close to the parks and you get that Disney theming, which we all love. And obviously you can go onto the Tokyo Disney website to take a look at photos of these resorts, get an idea of the theming and prices, because you can book those hotels directly through Disney on that website, so I will link that below. Next up are the Disney Resort official hotels, and we stayed in one of these, which was Hilton Tokyo Bay. We loved the hotel. It was really close to, I think it was the Bayside monorail station. It was literally just a walk across the road from the front of the hotel and you were right there, so that was really easy. The hotel was lovely, the rooms were really nice. We did have a theme park view. I'll try and throw in a photo of the theme park view. It's not exactly right there, but we could see the castle out of our window, which was really nice, and the room was very, very comfortable, and we just really enjoyed staying there. They had a great breakfast buffet there, so we can highly recommend that hotel. I will link my vlogs. I'll put up a card and I will link them below if you haven't seen them, because then you can see the room in a little bit more detail in those videos. And next to the hotel we were in, there were several others of the official Disney Resort hotels, so again I will provide a link down below and you can look at those. There is a page that literally has all of them, all of the categories that I just mentioned, so from the Disney owned ones right the way down to the Good Neighbor hotels, so then you can just browse all of them. And also the official resort hotels do offer shuttle buses to the nearest monorail station, but in a lot of cases it's walkable. Like I said, the hotel we were in, there is no way you would ever get a bus to the monorail station because it was right there. Next up you have the Disney Resort partner hotels. I believe there are 4 of those, and those are around 15 minutes by complimentary shuttle bus to get you across to the parks. And then finally the Good Neighbor hotels, I believe they have about 10 or 12, and those have complimentary shuttle buses, but it depends on the timing, how far it is away. So those might just take a little bit longer to get to the park, but all the ones they recommend that aren't actually on the Disney property are fairly close by. And in terms of where to book, if you want to stay in one of the Disney Resort hotels, you can book that direct with them on the website. If you're looking to book any of the others, like the one we stayed in, we booked through Travel Republic. If you're in the UK, that is a great site. They have really good prices. Sometimes you can just pay a deposit, other times you have to pay the whole amount. I think it depends on the individual hotel. We paid around £150 per night for our theme park view room. I would say for being so close to the monorail station, that's totally worth it. I was kind of imagining if you were that close to the monorail at Disney World, it would probably be even more than that. So we think that that was a fair price for the hotel that we had, and it was very nice and very comfortable. I will link Travel Republic below, and if you're in other countries, I'm sure they have something similar. I'm not sure if Travel Republic is in all countries or whether it's just the UK, so I'll link it below anyway, and you can always look on Expedia and places like that. You can normally find them on there as well. So once you pick your hotel, you're going to want to figure out how you will get there from the airport. The airport, by the way, that you are going to want to fly into is Tokyo Haneda. That is the closest one to the Tokyo Disney Resort. There is a train that goes right from the airport. You will have to change, I think, twice. I might be misremembering that. It's once or twice anyway. You will have to change. It's actually very simple to figure out which trains to use when you're there. Everything is laid out, even if you do not speak Japanese. You can see things in English as well, and it wasn't too difficult to figure out where you need to go. I've forgotten the name of the train station that is at the Disney Resort. I will put it on the screen now. That's obviously the train station that you would be heading for. I understand you also can get a bus directly from the airport. The reason we weren't able to do that is because we landed, I think, at 12:30 AM, or it might have even been close to 1, so the bus was no longer running. I know it does only run certain hours, so you will just need to think about what time you are arriving as to how you will get there. I do actually have the information from Hilton Tokyo Bay, which is explaining getting to and from the airport, and there's various different times, but it looks like the latest one is 6:37 p.m, which is not that late, and I think the first one is 7:20 a.m. So the times are fairly limited. It costs 830 yen for adults and 420 yen for children, and that's to go to the international terminal at Haneda Airport. So there are options for buses and things as well to get directly there. It depends on which hotel you're staying at, but certainly the one we stayed at, there are options, but you just need to be mindful of the time that you need to be leaving or getting there or whatever it is. They did also give us this timetable, which is a complimentary bus going from the hotel to the train station. If you are doing everything by train, there is a complimentary shuttle bus to get you to the station at least, so that's a bit easier with your luggage and everything. So in terms of getting around the Disney resort itself, we briefly discussed the monorail. They do have a monorail that goes between both of the parks and the Disneyland Hotel, obviously the other Disney, I always forget the name of it, the Miracosta Hotel, which is at DisneySea. That's obviously in the park, and a lot of the hotels, like the one I stayed in, the official hotels, are right there by the monorail station. Like I mentioned, the monorail is not free, so you do have to get yourself a ticket. This is the one we had, so you can get passes for different days depending how many days you will be there. So this one was a 3-day pass, and it was 1100 yen for an adult. You just keep this with you, and it's valid for unlimited trips during that time. And we purchased our monorail pass as soon as we got off the train at the station. You just walk across, very short walk to the monorail station, and you can buy your ticket right there to then go around to your hotel. So it's very close by, there's not much walking involved to just get across to the monorail station, and there are machines which are in all different languages to assist you with ordering your pass. So it was very easy. And just make sure with things like this and your park tickets that you do not lose them. In Disney World, I would find it a lot easier to try and figure that kind of thing out, but I wouldn't really want to have to take time figuring things like that out when I'm in the Tokyo parks, and I don't speak Japanese. A lot of the cast members do speak English, but just be really careful of not losing things, because you just don't want to have to deal with that while you're there. And on that note, everybody has these at Tokyo Disney. They do all kinds of different characters. This is my Mike Wazowski, and it's a coin purse. This just goes around your neck, or you can carry it on your shoulder, and it has this little pass holder in the back. It does also have a zip in the top so that you can put coins or just a bit of cash or whatever in there, or your credit cards. And then this is great for putting your monorail pass and your park tickets into. So I can highly recommend getting one of these. They weren't super expensive, but it just means you're not going to lose things which you don't want to do. So next thing on your agenda will be theme park admission. So the hotel we stayed in, which again was Hilton Tokyo Bay, you can actually buy your tickets right there at the hotel. So there's a ticket window in the lobby, and you don't need to do anything ahead of time because they don't have the same Fastpass system that they now have in Walt Disney World. I will come on to that in a bit more detail later, but there's nothing that you need to book ahead of time, so there's no need to necessarily buy tickets before you get there. So we just bought them at the hotel. There was a few people ahead of us in line in the morning, but compared with buying your tickets at the ticket gate at the parks, there are huge lines there. Do not wait to do it on the actual gate in the park, because you do not want to wait in that line, trust me. Everybody gets there early, and you don't want to be the person who's waiting in line to buy tickets while everybody else is heading into the park. So we did buy them there. One thing to note, and this is a bit random, they only take cash at the hotel that we were in. So if you are staying at Hilton Tokyo Bay and you are planning on buying your tickets there, take cash for that, because for some reason they don't take cards. They took card, I think, in like the coffee shop, but not for tickets. I don't know. But anyway, that's what we did. It was really easy, very quick. You just tell them how many days you want, and they can offer advice if you need it on which type of ticket you need and all that sort of thing. And the type of ticket we had was a 2-day passport where you could do 1 day in each of the parks. So we wouldn't have been able to do 2 days in Disneyland, and we couldn't have done 2 days in DisneySea. The type of ticket we had, I believe, was 1 day in each each park, which was perfect because that's what we wanted. You can order your tickets online ahead of time if you want to, and I will put a link to that below, and that explains in a lot more detail what the different types are. You can see the prices and all of that kind of thing. On that note, we found the prices for the actual park admission to be a lot more reasonable than we would have expected. It was cheaper, I think, than the day rate for visiting the parks out in Orlando, so we were quite pleased with that. It didn't cost us a whole lot of money to visit the parks, not as much as I would have expected. Ian and I have a theory for this though, which I will come on to in a second, but it has to do with the amount of money people spend on merchandise in the Tokyo parks. We think that might be why they kind of compensate with the cost. It's not so much to get in, but be prepared to need a second mortgage on the stuff you're going to want to buy when you're in there, because they have the best merchandise. But anyway, I'll come back to that. So those are the options for the tickets. You can either buy ahead of time or in the hotel. Just be careful there, because I know the Disney hotels, you can buy your tickets actually at the hotel. The one we stayed in, you can, but I would not like to say that you could do that in every hotel because I'm not certain. Like I said, I've only been once and that was my experience. So if you are looking to book your tickets or buy your tickets when you get there, maybe check with the hotel you've chosen to make certain that you can buy them at the hotel you are staying at. So in terms of actually visiting the parks, I would recommend that you have at least 2 days in each park. We only had 1 day and it was not enough. We didn't get to do everything. There is so much to see. Even if you're not a huge fan of shopping, the stuff they have is really interesting and really different. So there's all of that to do, as well as the attractions and everything else. So definitely I would try and do 2 days in each park if you can. And as with Disney World, it is tiring. It's a lot of walking, so you don't want it to be so full on that you're exhausted, because that's kind of what we did. We had an amazing time though, but yeah, there's a lot to see there. So Tokyo Disneyland is very similar to the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World and the Disneyland Park in California. So you have the castle, you have the lands, very similar to in the other parks. So that's the kind of what you would expect park. They do have some different attractions. They have a Monsters Inc. ride, which we really enjoyed. They have a ride called Pooh's Honey Hunt, which is an amazing Winnie the Pooh themed ride. It's on a trackless system, which was really good fun and we loved that. But then they have a lot of things: Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, Haunted Mansion, Small World, a lot of things that you'll recognise, but they're all slightly different versions. I do get asked quite a lot about the narration on the rides. It is in Japanese for the most part. I think there were a few that were in English, but if you know your Disney attractions, you just kind of know what's going on. And even if you don't, I think you would still get the gist of what's happening and enjoy it. Again, another question I get asked all the time is language barrier. So not all of the cast members speak English. Most of them speak enough English to get by. I would highly recommend learning a few words in Japanese. We learned at least how to say thank you and things like that, because I wouldn't ever want to appear like I have bad manners. Obviously they expect a lot of people to be tourists and not speak the language, but I would recommend just learning a few words. Most cast members, like I said, will know enough to get by. If they don't, they can easily find somebody who does. And for the most part, the cast members that we spoke to spoke quite good English. There was one guy, I lost my sunglasses on the Haunted Mansion, and I went and had a chat with him and he got me to describe them and stuff. So we didn't have any problems with you know, managing to get across anything that we needed to say. I'm not saying you'll necessarily be able to have kind of long-winded conversations, but you can certainly manage to interact with everybody pretty well. Like I was saying earlier, they don't have the Fastpass system where you can book them ahead of time. It's the older Fastpass system that we were used to at Walt Disney World, where you put your ticket, park ticket, into a machine and it spits out a Fastpass return time, and it's the same system that they used to have there. And we found that absolutely fine. If you get a Fastpass and it's for a lot later in the day, say it's a very popular attraction, you don't have to wait the entire time, we discovered, until you've ridden that attraction to get another one. You had to wait a little bit, but then it gave you a time on the ticket when you could get your next one. So try and utilise the Fastpass system wherever you can. Pooh's Honey Hunt, that was one that had a huge line for Fastpass passes. I don't claim to have any kind of idea about strategy, which is the best way to do it, because we were just kind of doing what we were doing. We didn't really know, so maybe you could look into it. I'm sure there are some people online who are experts on these things and could give you an idea of a touring plan. And Tokyo DisneySea was an incredible park. It was very unique. You're definitely not hit with Disney theming necessarily, but the theming is incredible. So you're not seeing kind of castles and characters and things, but the theming is out of this world. Everywhere you look was just, we were blown away by it. It was amazing. They've got some really unique attractions there, and when you hear DisneySea, there's a temptation there to think of like SeaWorld and like marine life and stuff. It's not really that. It's more like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, like submarines. They had a waterfront area, so it's more like that type of thing. And some of the rides we experienced there were fantastic. Journey to the Center of the Earth was amazing. I loved that. There's also the Indiana Jones ride. That was incredible. Then they have things like Toy Story. They have a Toy Story Midway Mania. There's a whole section themed around Aladdin. There's Mermaid Lagoon themed around The Little Mermaid. It's just a fantastic park, and it's quite big. There's a lot to see, so you definitely need more than one day. We did get rained off the day that we were there, which was a real shame, so we are definitely planning to go back. And a couple of things that we found just absolutely amazing in both parks are snacks and merchandise. So with the snacks, they have some really unique stuff, and they actually have a lot of merchandise themed around the snacks. So snacks in the Tokyo parks are a really big thing. I'm planning on doing a video about the ones that we tried, so that will be going up really soon. And I do already have a video up about the merchandise, giving you a bit of a tour around some of the stores. So I'll put up a card and link that below as well. They have a lot of stuff that we are not used to seeing in Disney World. They have so much in the way of like home products. We saw things like lint rollers, dusters, toilet brushes, even like all this kind of thing that you just don't see in the other Disney parks. And like I said, they had tons of stationery that is themed to the Disney snacks. And everybody, this is another thing in Tokyo, people love dressing up. Adults are allowed to go to the parks in costume. You're not allowed to do that at Disney World unless it is Halloween, as if I'm understanding that correctly. But in Tokyo, people go all out. There are people walking around in full-on like princess dresses. Another thing that's really popular are couples going either in costume or matching outfits. You have groups of girls or best friends in matching outfits. Everyone is just really extra. Everyone has like ears and hats, and it's just absolutely crazy. I loved it. I loved seeing everybody's outfits and costumes. So they sell tons of stuff in terms of, you know, outfits, headwear, all sorts of things. So it was just really great getting to see all of that. I wish I could have had more time to look at all of that as well. So definitely making sure you have enough time in this trip is really important, I would say. In terms of dining, we did see some sit-down restaurants, but we mainly just snacked all the time because there were so many snacks that we wanted to try. They did have quite a few counter service restaurants, and if you're someone who is very worried about the food, they did have some stuff that was very out there, but some stuff was also completely what I was used to. So you could get burgers, you could get chicken nuggets and fries, you could get salads and stuff. So you don't have to panic that you're not going to be able to eat anything, or it's all going to be things that are too far out of your comfort zone, because there was, you know, a lot of different things that should be suitable for mostly everybody. I can't speak to things like allergies or gluten-free or anything like that because I don't have that, so I'm not sure. You can get blogs pretty much for everything these days, so I'm sure there are people who are experts in the food at Tokyo Disney, but we found everything that we had was really nice. The portion sizes aren't too big, so that's actually quite good because then you can try several different things as you're going around, which is better, I think, than just having one big meal. Another thing to mention is that they don't have Photopass photographers there. So if you are wanting photos in a group or of your family, there are always cast members around or other guests who are more than happy to take your picture. Taking photos out there was huge. People were really into it. Everywhere you look, people are taking selfies, taking group photos. There were a lot of people taking what seemed to be like semi-professional shots of them in costumes, and it was just like a really huge thing. So there's always people around who will take your photo for you, but they don't have Photopass photographers as such. One thing that I did notice, there weren't as many places as there are in Disney World to grab a quick drink, like a bottle of water or a soda. We just didn't seem to see as many places. That might have just been us not noticing, but definitely that was something I did think there weren't as many. So maybe make sure that you take a couple of bottles of water or something with you into the parks. And another thing to bear in mind, at all of the kiosks that we saw that sold like ice creams and snacks, there were lines everywhere. Now, it might have been the time of year that we went, but every single time we went to get a snack or something, there was a very long line. They do move quickly, but just be prepared for that, because it can be a bit overwhelming when you see the line for something, but it goes pretty quickly. Like I said, I will do a separate video on snacks, but if you want a few recommendations of things that you really just should try, we ate at Sweetheart Bakery, which was really good. That was in the Disneyland park, and they had a lot of unique breads. We also ate at, it was in Tomorrowland, I don't think it's called Tomorrowland Terrace, I think. That's the place you can get the Mickey shaped chicken nuggets and Mickey shaped burgers, so that was really cool. And we also had a potato churro in the DisneySea park. I know not everybody likes those, but I actually really liked that. And they also had the Toy Story alien mochi. I think it's mochi or mochi, I think that's how you say it. Basically they're like little gummy dumpling type things with what I would describe as like a chocolate mousse, and then they have strawberry and a vanilla one. Anyway, those were very interesting. You definitely have to try them because they're very unique. And the other thing is popcorn. Popcorn is such a popular snack in the Tokyo parks, and everyone has their souvenir popcorn bucket. They sell lots of different types. I really wanted the Buzz Lightyear one and I couldn't find it, so that was disappointing, but we saw some really good ones, and they have tons of different flavors of popcorn. We had strawberry, we had like a black pepper one. They have, I think, like a soy sauce flavour. So many, chocolate, caramel, there were tons, and blueberry I think I saw as well, milk chocolate, I think I mentioned that one. Anyway, popcorn is a huge big deal, so I would definitely look into trying some of that when you're there, because the flavours are really unique and that's just a very popular snack. So I'm just doing a quick review in my head. We briefly covered airfare, we covered getting from the airport to the resort, we covered hotels, we covered park tickets, fast passes, transportation around the resort, the parks themselves, food. I think that's most things. It's really hard for me to think what you guys might want to know, so please let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want to ask. Like I said, I'm no expert. We did do a very quick short trip, but I'm happy to try and answer anything I can. I know some people might ask me about disabled access, and I did already have a question about that. Unfortunately, I just can't give any advice on it because I don't have any experience of it. So I don't know if they have any kind of assistance pass the way they do in Disney World. That would be something that you would just have to research. One thing I did notice, we saw 2 ECVs the entire time we were there, and that was it, and we just didn't see people in them. So I'm not sure what the situation is with getting onto attractions, because we just sort of didn't see people experiencing that, so I'm not sure. So that's one thing I won't be able to answer, but anything else, feel free to ask and I will try and answer them if I can. A lot of the things I've just talked about you can actually experience in the vlogs. They're almost all up now. There's one more to go up on Saturday, but I will link those below. Definitely check those out because there's a lot of information in those about the things that I've just gone through. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.